If you're watching this video, you've likely realized that your attention span is getting shorter and shorter, and in a few seconds you will feel the urge to click away and watch something else. If you resist that itch and stay, you will have taken the first step towards regaining control over your own mind, and I will do my very best to give you the right tools, tips, and tricks to assist you on that journey. I will make it my personal mission to make this coming year the year you reclaim back your focus and your life. But some of you are not ready yet to take that step, in which case I only ask you for 20 more seconds so I can give you a quick and simple takeaway gift before you leave. Look, your brain isn't broken. It's been rewired to crave constant stimulation. You can call it brain rot, but what it is an unhealthy dopamine addiction that's making you lose your ability to focus, to think deeply, to be creative, to stay on task, and even to remember. But your brain can be retrained, brain rot can be fixed, and the first small step is to take 1 minute of silence after you click off this video. Do nothing for that minute, and then continue with your day. And in a few hours, do it again, and then again, and again. Start reclaiming your focus 1 minute of silence at a time, and then come back when you're ready for more. I'll be here, ready to help you. Now, for those of you who have decided to stay, thank you. If you want to skip the fluff and dive straight into the content, skip to the next chapter. I respect your time and I've tried my best to pack as much value as I can in the shortest video possible. So if at any moment you find that I went too fast, or you have a question or want to know more about a certain topic, please let me know in the comments below. And finally, for those of you who have a bit more time, I want to take a few minutes to share with you something that has been on my mind lately and that fits perfectly into the topic of this video. But first of all, now that we are alone, I want to thank you properly. Seriously, you've clicked on a video with almost no views, on a channel with basically no subscribers, you've seen my face, you've heard my terrible English accent, and even after I offer you a quick out and then another chance to skip ahead, you've chosen to stay. Honestly, I don't know you, but I wish I did, because I like you already. And even if there's just one of you watching this on the other side of the screen, I want you to know that I'm gonna give it my all to make it worth your time. So here's what I wanted to talk to you about. You see, I started this channel a few weeks ago with the goal to share what I've learned over the recent years in my journey to build a happier, more purposeful and fulfilling life. Luckily for me, it's been a very successful and rewarding journey, and as a result, I think I have lots to offer. That's why I want to reach as many people as possible. Unfortunately, I've quickly realized that to achieve that, I need to create videos that prioritize not what you need, but what the YouTube algorithm wants. And in case you don't know much about how YouTube works, what the algorithm wants is thumbnails and titles that get many clicks, and videos that keep you, the viewer, glued to the screen. And here comes the paradox, because guess what's the best way for me as the content creator to give YouTube exactly what it wants? The best way is to exploit your weaknesses, and just like everyone else, to hack your brain and feed your dopamine addiction. Excellent. It's quite simple, actually. I can head to ChatGPT and quickly create shallow videos with hit after hit of life-changing tips, final solutions, and ultimate truths that trigger your curiosity and keep you hooked, and call it a day. But wait a minute, isn't that precisely the opposite of what I want to do with this channel? Exactly. I don't want to play that game. I want to create the content you need, the content that will help you be the best version of yourself, not make a quick buck selling you the illusion of change while feeding you the same AI crap as everyone else. Because that might make the algorithm happy, and it might even make you and your dopamine happy for a short while. But then, when you try implementing those tips and you see that you struggle, that you fail, that you cannot replicate something that seems so easy, or that you're not getting any of the promised results despite all of your efforts, it will inevitably increase your self-blame, your guilt, and the sense that there is something wrong with you, all of which are absolutely false. Because you and me, we are humans, not robots, and human topics, such as the ones I'm talking about, do not have cookie-cutter solutions. They are complex, and what works for me might not work for you. So, how have I decided to handle this paradox between what I want and what YouTube wants? Well, you've already seen the first strategy that I'm testing. On the next few videos, I will offer what I like to call a choose-your-own-adventure experience. Basically, I will offer viewers like yourself the option to skip one section with content made only for those who are willing and have the time and patience to listen. On that section, I will slow down and add the human context that I find necessary to truly and successfully tackle the topic of the video. The second strategy is to still deliver the content I like and believe in, but to do it as efficiently as possible to promote retention. That means that I will speak faster than I would like and that I will have to trim aspects that I would like to touch upon. But I think it should be okay because that can be offset with the first and last strategy. The last strategy will be implemented in the comments section, where I will write additional ideas, thoughts, or context for the topic of the video to hopefully help even those who decided to leave early or skip ahead. And talking about the comments section, before we move on with the main content of this video, I want to propose you a game. You see, I love to know if I'm just here talking to myself or if someone is actually listening to this. And if you're there on the other side, I love to get a chance to interact with you. So at the end of this video, after the Chinchilla logo, I will say one final random word that most likely no one else will hear. And even if they do, they wouldn't know what to do with it. But you will. So please write it down on the comments below. And if you feel like it, let's chat. If lately your brain feels foggy, distracted, slower, more forgetful, or just tired, you're not crazy. You're likely experiencing the side effects of dopamine addiction, or what many like to call it these days, brain rot. So your instinct that something is off is absolutely right, because it is. You felt it. The itch to check your phone mid-conversation, the impulse to open new tabs, the way it's getting harder to finish a book chapter or even a 2-minute video. More and more, your brain craves constant novelty, and that change is happening faster for you than for any generation in history. Because every time you cave in and open your phone, you reinforce that behavior. You are teaching your brain to expect stimulation on demand, and as a result, you cannot tolerate stillness anymore. To the point that boredom has become the enemy and silence feels unbearable. And that's what brain rot truly is, the slow erosion of your mind's ability to be with itself. A few years ago, I used to raise an eyebrow when I saw someone checking their phone while watching a movie. But then one day I found myself doing precisely the same. And that was just the beginning. At my worst, I was checking my phone over 100 times per day, most of those not even prompted by a notification. And what's even worse, not even because I had nothing else to do. On the contrary, I was interrupting important work and breaking my focus because I was hooked on constant stimulation. It was taking a massive toll, not only on my productivity, but also on my happiness, my family life, my pride, and my perception of self-worth. I was forgetful, slow, and I felt lost, old, weak, and small. I was never the sporty kid growing up, nor the natural leader or the handsome one. The only thing I had going for myself was my brain, and I was losing it, so I fought back. And you can too. There are several proven mental habits and exercises that can help you in that process. But before I share those, it is essential that you understand what's actually happening inside your brain. Because once you understand it, you'll be able to move beyond following instructions and take control over your own brain's destiny. We used to let our minds wander. We daydreamed in car rides, stared out of windows, got bored in class and imagined stories. Now, every spare second is filled with pings, taps, notifications, and scrolls. What happened? Well, if you can stop checking your phone, it's not because you lack willpower. It's neurochemistry. Your brain has been hacked, and dopamine is the Trojan horse. You see, our brains evolved to pay attention to what matters and to actively seek for rewards. That's what dopamine does. It's a brain chemical that makes that hunt for a reward a thrilling experience, prompting us to seek that sensation more. As a result, dopamine has had a huge impact in our success as a species. That is, until greed came into the picture and we figured out that we could use that same dopamine to influence what others do. This is how it works. Every scroll, tap, or notification gives you a micro hit of dopamine, training your brain to crave that constant novelty. It's like feeding your brain on a junk food diet to the point that now real nutritious food tastes boring and bland. This creates a slot machine effect. You keep scrolling just one more time, hoping that the next thing will be rewarding, but it won't. So even though you're tired and unsatisfied, you need more and more and more. Let's be honest, it's the perfect tool for behavior manipulation. It's built in inside you, it's highly addictive, and you have little control over when it activates. For anyone who wants a piece of your money and your attention, it's a dream. And it's working, and it will keep working because evolution is a slow process, and as a result, we're stuck in a cognitive evolutionary mismatch. In simpler words, our brain is trapped in an environment it wasn't built for, and it's poorly equipped to deal with. We still have hunter-gatherer minds that are simply not good enough to survive the digital jungle. The solution then is not gonna be to quit dopamine, you can't, but to rebalance it. To do that, you will have to learn to identify mindless junk dopamine and gradually replace it with slow dopamine. And also, you will have to reset your dopamine baseline with regularly scheduled dopamine fasts. And the first step in that healing process is getting your focus muscle back in shape. Ever had a good idea and literally seconds later forgot what it was about? That's not age, that's brain rot breaking your attention loop. Because your dopamine addiction doesn't just shorten your attention, it fragments your thinking. You start reading an article, then check a message, then open another app, and by the time you return, where was I? The thread is gone. Your brain was built for focus and rest. That's why when you manage to put your mind to something, the results can be astonishing. But those moments are getting harder to come by because you are trapped in permanent attention switch mode, where you neither gain anything nor you allow your brain to rest. It's like you know there's a ship packed full with treasure under the sea, but you never get your hands onto that gold because instead of taking one big breath and dive in, you keep going back to the surface to check your email. I know that feeling. Over the last few years, especially since I left the startup world and became a writer, I've struggled with focus. At the slightest hint of trouble putting an idea into words, I would find any little excuse to leave the page I was working on and do something else. My productivity was awful, my creativity nowhere to be found, and it was exhausting. It was not a sustainable status quo, so here's the strategy that helped me start the process of regaining my focus back. The micro rep. You have to treat your brain like a muscle that's forgotten how to lift. The next time you reach for your phone or are tempted to open another tab in the middle of something else, stop. Notice the itch. That's your attention muscle begging for a workout, so train it. It's simple. Just take a 1-minute break and do nothing. That's a micro rep for your brain. The more reps, the more your brain will rest and the stronger your focus will get. That's just the start though, and later in this video, I'll show you how to take this simple exercise to the next level. Because I don't want you to think that this is a set up and forget about it sort of process. You're human and you're dealing with a constantly changing environment that's out to get you, to play on your natural weaknesses. So realistically, you're gonna have ups, but also downs. And the important thing is first that you are aware enough to recognize those downs, and second that you have the attitude and the spirit to fight back. Unfortunately, brain rot is also trying to take that away from you. Have you noticed how some things that used to make you happy and excited, a playlist, a book, a hobby, or even chatting with a certain friend, feel kind of flat now? Here's the thing, those things have not changed. It's your brain's reward system that has gone numb. And why shouldn't it? When you feed your brain on a diet of constant microstimulation, your emotional baseline flattens and normal life ends up feeling kind of meh. A sunset cannot compete with a viral clip. A meaningful conversation can match the dopamine spike of being the first sharing a trending meme with your friends. Real life feels dull, gray, boring, and way too slow. So you avoid it because if it doesn't feel good, what's the point? The first time I noticed this was during the summer of 2016. I had spent months planning a road trip across Spain to take my wife, my kids, my parents, and my brother-in-law's family to some of the most beautiful spots in my home country, places I had only seen myself in pictures. It was meant to be this amazing bonding experience that we would never forget. There was just one tiny problem. Pokémon Go had just come out and man, I was hooked. So while everyone else got to see and experience all the wonderful things around us, I kept my eyes glued to my phone screen for 2 weeks. I mean, how could a 1,000-year-old fortress compete with the chance of catching a dragonite? So, while I can tell you that Avila was a great place to catch geodudes, if you ask me what I thought of its beautiful fortified wall, well, I don't really recall. Worst of all, I isolated myself from everyone else for most of the trip, almost as if I wasn't even there with them, sharing those moments. Just thinking about it makes me feel so annoyed at myself and so ashamed. So don't waste another minute of your life living a lie. The wall is not dull, it's vibrant and full of meaningful moments that with the right mindset can make your life a billion times more joyful than whatever is going on in your screen. Here are 3 quick tips to start retraining your reward system and heal your emotional fatigue. First, practice mindful slowness. Choose certain activities in your day and do those without any distractions. Eat without screens or walk without music. Let your senses do the entertaining. Second, rediscover analog joy. Schedule activities every single day that give you a physical, grounded payoff. Handwrite, cook, garden, walk, sketch. And third and last, after something pleasant, pause. Don't rush to the next hit. Let satisfaction linger long enough for your brain to register the full reward, for your inner self to say, "This was good." Do this daily and color will start coming back into the picture. It will be like switching your brain from grayscale to 4K. That's how emotional depth returns. And when it does, something amazing happens. Your creativity wakes up again. Let's see how. You don't find creativity when you're busy. You find it when you're bored. So if your instinct is telling you that your best ideas come in the shower, it's 100% right. Boredom used to be the birthplace of innovation, but brain rot cannot stand boredom. It's its nemesis. So click by click, swipe by swipe, we've eradicated from our lives, and just like that, our best ideas are gone. Because when you're constantly consuming, your brain never taps into the default mode network, your mind's creative autopilot, the system that connects ideas and sparks creativity without you even trying. It's only when you stop feeding your brain constant input that your subconscious has the chance to get to work. Few people know this, but my writing career started with a midlife crisis. It's a long story, but basically I tried to figure out what was wrong with me and with the wall by taking the time to reflect and write down my thoughts. It was a life-changing process, but I vividly remember getting stuck in one chapter about identity for days. It was frustrating because I could sense the germ of an idea on the back of my mind screaming to be let out. But no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't happening. Finally, exhausted and annoyed at myself, I decided to leave the office and go out for a walk. Within 10 minutes, the idea had taken shape and the problem was solved. It felt effortless, but it wasn't magic. I had finally given my brain some breathing room. And the best thing of seeing great ideas flourish through boredom is that it makes you want to do it again, and that is a fantastic tool against brain rot. Give it a try. Schedule and structure time in your day. Literally block blank space in your calendar, and during that time, don't force ideas, just observe. Let your thoughts drift, and when an idea arrives, capture it gently. Because all that imagination doesn't matter if you cannot remember anything. And brain rot has been quietly stealing your memory too. Have you ever stumbled upon a post or an image that you thought was fun or interesting, but then just minutes later not be able to recall what it was all about? You're not alone, and it's a warning sign that your memory system needs help. Because forgetting a post is not a big issue, but when the same thing starts happening more and more often in your daily life, things can get dicey fast. Here's what's going on. Physiologically, memory isn't about storing information, it's about encoding it, and your hippocampus is in charge of that task. The thing is, to do its job properly, it needs to focus. So you see the problem. Our brain rot, that dopamine addiction that's keeping us hooked on ping, swipes, and scrolls, is forcing us to reset our attention every 20 seconds. So the hippocampus gets overloaded and just gives up. So even though you scroll for hours and go through tons of content, you end up remembering practically nothing. In other words, you're consuming without digesting. Not a very nutritious lifestyle. I myself was faced with this troubling issue. And what did I do? I wish I could tell you that straight away I put in some effort and fixed the source of the problem. That would have been nice. But no. Like you, probably, I took the easy route and I started relying on external tools like Alexa, Google Calendar, or the Sticky Notes app on my phone to do that memory work on my behalf. I mean, it worked. I wasn't missing my dentist appointment anymore, but soon I realized that the cost I was paying was huge. You see, the more we outsource our mental storage, the less we use our own hard drive and the rustier it gets. And as it performs worse and worse, the more we need to keep outsourcing. So you see where this is going, right? It's a vicious cycle. It got really bad for me. I mean, I'm a writer and I was even struggling to come up with words. So at a certain point I said enough is enough and I decided to find a real solution. And here's the good news. Neuroplasticity works both ways, and in the same way your brain has changed for the worse, it can be changed right back for the better. What's even better, all these issues we've talked about in this video are interconnected, and as a result, they can all be fixed at the same time with the same strategies and the same tools. To fix your brain rot, you don't need to throw away your phone. You just need to remember that you are the one holding it. Let's face it, brain rot content is going nowhere. If anything, with the rise of AI, it's only gonna get worse. So, unless you plan on selling all your possessions and moving to a deserted island in the middle of the Pacific, your brain healing solution is gonna have to accept that temptation is always gonna be there. Not only that, you'll also have to accept that today's specific solution will eventually stop working. I mean, the odds are clearly not in your favor. The incentives are way too huge for those seeking to hack your brain, and there's millions of them, well, there's just one of you. So, more than a prescription, a cure, what I want to leave you with is a framework, a system that you can consistently rely on to implement changes to your life that keep you on the right track. It's the system I personally use, and it's made of 5 essential components. Without awareness, there's no change. Admit that you have a problem and get into the habit of observing your own behavior without judgment. Pay notice to your triggers. When do you reach for your phone seeking a dopamine hit? Is it when you feel bored, anxious, lonely? Understanding the root cause and putting a name on it weakens your dopamine's hold on you and makes you 10 times more likely to make the right choices. As I mentioned earlier in the video, you're going to have to train your attention muscle. You can start small with the mini reps and then start adding small blocks of focused activity every day. Start with 5 minutes, then 10, then 20, and then follow that with 5 to 10 minutes of rest. Just like with any of your other muscles, incremental overload combined with regular rest is the name of the game. Your evenings are the perfect time to develop this strategy. In fact, I encourage you to check my video on the 9 essential habits to stop wasting your evenings after work, because it will give you great ideas on how to implement this training in your daily life. If this all sounds like too much to ask of your willpower, don't worry, because you have an ally on your corner, your environment. Change your environment and you will change your behavior with barely any effort. You can keep your phone in another room while you're working, remove apps from your home screen, mute notifications, and if you need to, you can also use blockers like Freedom or Focus Me. Do whatever it takes to make the right choice the easy choice. The sooner you reset your dopamine levels and rediscover the pleasure of slow dopamine versus the shallow rush of junk dopamine, the easier time you'll have keeping these positive changes in your life. And the way to do it is with regularly scheduled dopamine fast. So look at your day and schedule periods of complete mental rest. No screens, no podcasts, no input. I do device-free work breaks and then a 40-minute podcast-free evening walk. But you don't need to copy me. You can start smaller and adapt as you go. Do what feels right for you and for your schedule, and over time, your brain will start feeling more rested, and natural pleasures like reading, walking, or talking with others will start feeling rewarding again. And trust me, once you get there, you won't want to go back. Finally, as you rediscover the pleasures of slow dopamine, start sprinkling in it even when you're getting a junk dopamine hit. Practice what is commonly referred to as active consumption. Engage critically with the media, products, or information you consume rather than just passively absorbing them. For example, after you watch or read something, summarize it in your own words, out loud or in a note. It will help your memory, and you might replace shallowness with inspiration. But let me be clear, it won't be easy at first. You're treating an addiction after all, and improvement won't happen overnight. But give it 2 weeks and I guarantee you, the change will speak for itself. Brain rot doesn't need to be a death sentence for your focus. It's a wake-up call. And the fact that you've made it this far is proof that you're ready to reclaim your brain and your life. So, which of these strategies will you implement today? Take a silence break for a minute and then let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon here, as always, in Chinchilla. Umbrella.